Tom and Kathryn. So I very appreciate what you come to our small group event. I'm very glad to what we have kind of events of all our franchises every year like that. Last year we had the same, we call it Fuse Franchise Leadership Development, because some of them really needs to develop their leadership skills all the time, because some of us just recently started their own businesses, from the technicians positions, from the estimators, or just they started because they worked somewhere else before, or they just immigrated to the United States and they had some different background. This why Fuse Service Franchise kind of united these people together, and because we love you guys, Howard's family, together. And when I saw you first time in my life with guys from Fuse Service, with Stan, with Sergey in your lease facility, we're like, wow. Even from there, like 4 years ago, or maybe 3.5 years ago, when Tom pushed us little bit to Service Titan, he just like raised his leg and just like push it to the big hall called Service Titan, like guys, come on, look at that. This is because of Service Titan, right?
Yeah.
And all these people still, we mostly in Housewell Pro, but our main location in San Jose doing like a very nice success in compare to many companies like us, even in Bay Area. So thank you for
Thanks.
you here. You already said who you are. So Kathryn,
Okay.
Yes.
you didn't tell who. What
I'm
you doing?
Kathryn. I'm Tom's younger sister. I'm the younger one out of the two of us. And I am also a shareholder in Lease, and I've operated there and operated at Fetchatech, like the book there, and primarily working in plumbing right now with a lot of different plumbing companies across the country. But I was an HVAC technician, so HVAC was my trade. Plumbing is what I'm most excited about in the business landscape right now. Yeah. Electrical is really exciting too right now. A lot of opportunity.
So who was first in the trade, you or Tom?
Tom. Mm-hmm.
So because I made with you podcast before, can you share, because not all of these guys maybe watched this podcast, or maybe they've been very busy, or they not completely, because I translated this podcast to the Russian as well. But anyway, not all of guys watch it, even they are not followed you maybe in your social medias. So how's the business right now? Let's talk about this 2025 year, because the 2022, 2023, 2024, it's kind of was different thing than happening right now in 2025, because we have again the same president we had before, and he's pushing very hard, a lot of things changing, and economics changing. But how, in your opinion, home services doing right now in the United States? And because you mentioned Australia, like internationally, maybe already you know about that knowledge.
Yeah. First of all, there's some reports that came through showing that Carrier Corporation is expected to be down when they release their numbers, down 30% from Q3 to Q3 from 2024 to 2025. So a decrease in 30%. And what they do is they track the amount of compressors that are sold, and they typically expect one compressor per unit, roughly. So that's supposed to represent how many units they sell. They're supposed to be down 30% in compressor sales from 2024 to 2025. AHRI also published the same data. We look at this data all the time at Service Titan, because Service Titan grows when you grow. They were expecting Service Titan to be down. The numbers of Service Titan were released for the end of July, and so I can talk about them publicly. The ones for the end of July show that while compressor sales were down and those things for 2025, Service Titan's numbers were actually increased, and drastically increased above expectations. The reason for this is that the average growth rate of a company in the United States in the trades is around 1 to 3%. So they average around 2%. The average growth rate of a company on ServiceTitan is about 7 to 9%. And so, guys, the larger companies in the trades that know what they're doing will continue to grow no matter what. The issue is that we can't spend our time thinking about, oh my gosh, the economy is down. Oh, this is terrible. People aren't buying things. We make stupid excuses for ourselves all the time. And so one of the guys that I know, he was actually from Butler up in Sacramento about 15 years ago, well, 10, 12 years ago, when the recession was happening in 2008, 2009. He said, we are not going to participate in the recession. We choose not to. We're going to make money. And it's harder when the economy is slow and that kind of thing. It's harder to get through, but you have to decide, okay, what am I going to do to make sure I make money? How am I going to adapt my business? And the ones that adapt and overcome are the ones that live in the end, and the ones that refuse to adapt and move, they die. And that's it. But that's how businesses worked for a long, long time. The ones that are able to move and fight and get stronger and push through, they win. They end up buying the small ones that go out of business, or after they go out of business, they just take their customers and keep growing and getting bigger. And that's how the country stays strong. Is because the strong businesses get stronger and the weak businesses die, and then you always have stronger and stronger businesses growing. A lot of the businesses that you see from, 50 years ago in the United States, you guys know what Polaroid is and Kodak. They're not doing too well right now. Look at Blockbuster Video. Do you guys know what Blockbuster Video is? The video rental store? They had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million. They said no, and they laughed at them and told them to get out of their office. And then Blockbuster died because Blockbuster refused to adapt. Redbox, you guys know what Redbox is, where they bought the DVDs? They're gone too. So, I mean, if you think about it, you have to constantly move and constantly adapt and get stronger. The awesome opportunity for you guys is that you're in an industry right now that has not, even with all the developments and with ServiceTitan and iPads coming out and iPhones that allow ServiceTitan to be available, with new GPS technology coming out, all that stuff, that's allowed the trades to get stronger and bigger, but it's not yet where it can be. And so you have the opportunity to grow with that and adapt with it and make money at this time right now where not a lot of people are going and doing it. It's a pretty awesome trade to be in. So.
Fuse is the appliance repair and then goes into electrical franchise, right? That's what everyone.
So our path growth of all our franchise is we starting from appliance repair because why? Because we have
Easy
to just
entry.
customer acquisition cost, it's lower.
Mhm.
So we had to work first for the increase the amount of the customers. So this is kind of our growth path for every entrepreneur in our group, because they just with even small amount of money, they coming to our business. They starting from appliance repair. They're paying little money for the advertising. They making orders, jobs, and then these customers appearing on the database, and then this database used for returning customers to make HVAC.
Yep.
During the appliance repair, we're pushing these guys to get their own licenses for HVAC first, because we're mostly experts in HVAC industry, and then we moved to the electrical and plumbing.
Okay.
So not many of our guys moved already to the electrical, just a few of them, but maybe 50% they moved to the HVAC already because they've got their own licenses. Some of them still struggling to get something, or just they have no idea what they can hire, just an RME or someone.
So if we take the basic level of appliance repair, we're all in the appliance repair. business here. And some of the things you said was that we're not going to participate in the recession. We're going to adapt and overcome. You used the word adapt. And I think that it would be important to elaborate on exactly what does that look like? What does adapt in an appliance repair business when top line or bottom line is down? One of the things that you mentioned that you said, big companies that know what they're doing are always going to grow. And you pointed to increasing market share through acquisition. But in the appliance repair business, they need to increase market share through some other way to acquire these customers, right? You can, grow with different verticals by adding HVAC or electrical or plumbing. But what are some other things, like Tom, maybe, or you could chime in when you talked about adapting and overcoming? Because I guess by the nature of the question, I'm assuming, Adam, that 2025 has been rough. It's been a different kind of a year than what we experienced. I think 2021 and 22 were very similar. I think 23 started to get rough, and 24,
24
especially
was
in the
bad.
Southwest. And now 2025 is like kind of brand new. I think maybe 2025, 26, we'll see what's happening there. But I know, business, no matter if you're in appliance repair and plumbing, if you're in the hotel business or the restaurant business is all the same. You need to generate revenue. You need to have customers that agree to exchange money with you in exchange for your services. Right? And how many customers will exchange money with you and how much money will they exchange with you? That's the game that we play, no matter what business we're in. So how do we adapt in an appliance repair business where they're probably not doing acquisitions, go out there, gain market share, have more customers, and higher tickets? Because that's the only way to win. The only way to win is to have more customers or sell more to each customer. Right.
I'll chime in there. So the problem with appliance repair is all the appliance companies are trying to figure out how to get the cost of their appliance down. Look at TVs. I can go buy a 60-inch flat screen TV now for like $400. 10 years ago, that was for a flat screen TV, 60-inch, $4,000. So 10 years ago, I might pay $500 to get my TV repaired. I'm not paying $500 now to get my TV repaired. It used to be, back in the day, if there's a great book called How to Build a Business Warren Buffett would buy. It's about R.C. Willey, the company, and he sold it to Warren Buffett, the richest man in the United States back then. And R.C. Willey started as an appliance repair company. And now they sell appliances and they sell furniture and stuff because they adapted and they overcame. And at the time, he was fixing toasters. I mean, how much does it cost to buy a toaster now? $20. Like, you can't fix toasters. If he had stayed trying to do appliance repair at that time, he'd be out of business. And you're always going to be fighting against the appliance companies because the appliance companies are always going to try to make their product cheaper, and which means that the value that you can add to repairing that appliance is going to go down further and further and further. So my recommendation is, in adapting into that, is get to the things that they can't do that with or that the customers can't easily replace. Air conditioning is one of them. I promise you, Elon Musk is going to do everything he can to get to the point where we can, anything that uses energy, including air conditioning, that you could change it out with like one plug and it's not going to be a big deal, just like appliances. It's not there right now though, and so there's a lot of opportunity in that space. Plumbing. The beauty of plumbing is that, look, if I go to fix an air conditioner and I say the capacitor has failed, and they search on Amazon for a capacitor or online, and they see that the capacitor is $5, they can argue with me about why I charge them $500 to change out their capacitor. And I do. I think our average ticket right now on capacitor is like $600 and something. And the capacitor is $5. Well, yeah, but I have to drive out there, I have to diagnose, I have to do all these other things. Well, with plumbing, I don't even have that problem. If I go out there and tell them that I need to replace their sewer line, nobody goes online and says, oh, look, the sewer pipe is only $100. I can dig up my front yard myself and replace my sewer line. If that's not translating well into Russian, it's the poop pipe that comes out of your house. No one wants to deal with that. No one's doing that. If I say it's $20,000 to replace it, they say, okay, where do I sign? I need to be able to poop tomorrow. That's it. I have to. So plumbing you don't have big tickets in plumbing as much. You have some tankless water heaters, maybe some regular water heaters, that kind of thing. Or a sewer line replacement. You get a lot of those things, and you can charge a good amount of money for your plumbing services because everyone has to go to the bathroom. We just have to, and no one wants to touch it. In the United States today, 100 years ago, it was not as easy to make money in plumbing. Why? Because everyone would fix it themselves. A lot of you live in Northern California. They don't want to fix their plumbing. Their fingernail polish will get messed up, you know? It's true. They will pay you to do it. No one wants to do it. So if you can get into those services, electrical is a great one. No one wants to mess with their electrical panel. No one wants to risk burning their house down. In appliance repair, they can always just buy a new appliance. And so you can only charge so much before it says, oh, it's too high, I'll buy a new one. And you don't get to get money on the new one because they can go buy the appliance at Home Depot and plug it in.
What are the best tickets for appliance repair?
Average maybe 350.
But what's like in HVAC when we say they don't have air conditioning and we get a replacement? That's the golden ticket. What's a good call in appliance repair?
It's high-end appliance like Sub-Zero wall stuff.
Yeah.
3, 4,
Which
5,
are
depends on
built
the
in.
problem.
You cannot replace them just immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when
Identifying those tickets and focusing on those, if it would be the first step to adapt and overcome, and then adding verticals on more expensive trades like electrical and HVAC and plumbing as fast as you can from appliance repair. It's the fastest path to HVAC, you said,
yeah,
in
because
most places.
yeah, because the diagnostic issue solving things, the technical problems solving as well. So all these guys, they know these things very nice in appliances, and same principles, same physics, same electrical things, all the same wiring. It's absolutely much easier in HVAC.
Nice.
Even I said like a ductwork, it's like just a regular air movement, nothing special there. So all these guys know everything about it, and they're like a switching. They trying to get into the HVAC. They're sometimes limited by like a regular laws, because some of them don't have licenses for some reason. So, but they're moving. They're all the time like adapting. And this is why I like asked you and asked your opinion about this kind of adaptation, because to let guys know what our franchise, it is in DNA of our franchise and few service adaptation all the time, because I'm pushing them all the time to educate themselves, to if they have no idea how to do some plumbing things, electrical things, even they have a HVAC license, like just go ahead. It's like a same burning gas, same pipes, same sewer lines, same disposal waste, the condensation line. It's the same kind of thing, because codes, like a local codes for the residential building or commercial, they are mostly staying for decades. This are the same. They a little bit changing, but they're absolutely kind of the same year over year. Going back to your story, where you came from, and Tom, how did you adopt in the years yourself, being first sweeping guy, some of the facility, and then growing? So what's kind of the key pushed you to the place where you're at now?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I started out in the trades sweeping floors. And I was a guy that lived down the street a couple miles away. I'd ride my bicycle after school and I would sweep the floors and clean out his trucks. And she knew him. I think you were like 14 years old and worked there doing accounting.
$3 an hour.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
It was when QuickBooks for contractors first came out. I
Yeah.
had like computer, a big computer. I wrote his bills on the QuickBooks for $3 an hour.
And his house. And the trucks were parked at his house. That's where I go clean the trucks and do that kind of thing. Then, anyway, so I did that. And it was not a great location. I'd have to clean the cocaine out of the center console in the trucks so we wouldn't get in trouble for
Even
possession.
These times they use the cocaine,
Yeah.
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 like
about
the
10
technicians.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Really?
And the owner and the technicians together. Yeah.
Some of the customers probably.
Because
Yeah.
we had yesterday the activity.
I was.
It's called cocaine.
Yeah.
And what we did, we put like a big amount of cocaine to the table, and then got the card, putting to the mouth, like putting this certain of amount of cocaine, and then we like
I told you that's why I have to have
bring
reality
this
TV
cocaine
show.
to another heart of another guy, and then we have to fill the one cup on another end.
It was a relay team building event.
Yeah.
With cocaine. Was it real cocaine? It was flour. Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Just knowing is a
That's a
crime.
real one.
You know.
Yeah, I'm like,
The guy who
Don't
made
ask
it,
questions.
he said it was a real one. We have no idea, like it was a.
oh my gosh.
You're being serious.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't the real cocaine. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I was like, that's a lot of money for real cocaine.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Look at the pile.
So we're gonna use it.
We gotta have.
We're gonna use it on social media. This thing,
Yes.
like these people, like sniffing.
I'll share it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they
Blue
doing
collar.
because they are doing a lot of money and they have ability to do it. But we're gonna make it like a disclaimer. That's what this word.
Yeah. Well, worked there, and then she went off to work at Dunkin' Donuts, and I went off to. I finished high school and I went on a religious mission. I lived in Hungary for 2 years, and then anyway, when I came home from my mission, I got a job in air conditioning again, and I eventually got a job at Lee's, the company that I own now. And it was a small company at the time, and I was in sales by that point. So I swept floors, and then I cleaned trucks, and then I was a helper on service calls, and then I was a helper on installs, and then eventually got into sales. I was pretty terrible at sales back then. Not great now, but it was really bad back then. Anyway, and then kept going, and I wanted to get out of the trades. I got a scholarship to business school. And so I told the owner, I said, I'm going to business school, so I never have to do air conditioning ever again. And he laughed. And I went to business school, and I ended up coming back, and I got a job in finance, and I hated it. And I tried going to a law firm, and I hated that too. And so I came back to the trades, and I took a job as the general manager at Lee's. And at the time they had about 11 employees. Eventually he had a death in the family. His son died and his daughter died, and he just said, I just don't want to do this anymore. And his oldest daughter didn't want to take the business. She said, I don't want it. So he sold it to me, and I just made payments to him every month because I didn't have money to buy it. And that company now has about 400 employees. It's gonna have less pretty soon. We're, shutting down a division, but it's
Is it in Fresno?
the company that has 400.
Headquartered in Fresno.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, probably 100 of those employees are in Texas, and
He got hired in Fresno, and when he took over the company, it was just Fresno.
With 11 employees
Yeah, 11 employees just in little old Fresno.
and 11 floors of home, right?
yeah. Well, I was the 11th.
I
Yeah,
was paying.
Number 10 was his wife.
Yeah. No, she was fired. That's really true. That's fine. We're also not married anymore. So,
For that reason.
yeah, we started realizing we just need to get more efficient. Like right now, when I talk about reducing employees, it's like we have a bunch of CSRs. We won't need that many CSRs in the future. That's the reality of the situation. AI will take over a lot of that. What? Customer service representative.
It's like dispatchers, but
Yeah. So we've been fighting that battle for a while, and AI is getting better. We'll need CSRs. We'll need customer service representatives to handle complex situations, but outside of that, we should need less. And so we know that that's going to happen. And I don't want to brag about how many employees we have, because the reality is I want less employees, more revenue. That's the truth. But it's over 100 million in revenue now. And that's one of them. I
Well,
mean,
100 million in revenue doesn't mean you're not poor.
Well, I understand.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
It's not the top line that matters.
yeah. So let's talk about that. So we should put about $15 million to the bottom line this year. We're on pace for that right now. And so we only got couple months left, or well, until the end of January should be our trailing 12 months, 15 million in revenue. So, or 15 million in profit. Just so you guys know, my lifetime goal when I bought Lee's, we were at 1.6 million in revenue. My lifetime goal was to hit $3 million in revenue. Now we're well over, but we'll be over 120 million this year.
And that sold that in a month.
So I had a sort of a personal question related to exactly this, to your goal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, not every day we have a chance to talk to someone with that many achievements. And I imagine you haven't envisioned yourself achieving so much. So what was it like? Have you ever like had to break through some kind of glass ceiling that you set yourself, or vice versa? Have you experienced that worry, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, so when I hit the goal for 3 million in revenue, just so you guys know, like right now, she's talking about going out and doing roll-ups and, you know, adding, you know, 5 million, 10 million of EBITDA.
I'm
quickly.
most excited about the reality TV show while
Yeah.
we do the movie.
Yeah. I'm excited about profit. So anyway, but the reality is back then, if you were a big company, you were like 20 million in revenue and everyone thought you were a god, right? That was a big company back then. Now, if you go to Pantheon, which is a ServiceTitan user conference, and you're 20 million in revenue, no one pays attention to you. Like you're a middle market, you know, you're doing well, but you're not huge. There's 5 companies there that were there at Pantheon that are $1 billion in revenue or higher. 5 of them, not 1, 5. And the CEOs were all there at Pantheon at the user conference. My mentality back then was so short-sighted. Now there's a couple of reasons why they didn't grow past 20 million back then. The technology, she was talking about technology when we sat down, it makes it a lot easier to run a large operation. Mm-hmm. You still need operators, but you don't need them as badly as you did before. You can measure your operators' performance much easier now with the technology we have today. Big roll-ups happened 20 years ago, and they all went 25 years ago. Blue Dot, Service Experts, whatever, they rolled up and became billion-dollar operations in the US, and they all went bankrupt. You couldn't run, it was very difficult to run a large operation in air conditioning and plumbing back then. So anyway, in 2012, I was trying to make a goal for 3 million. It took me from 2011 to like 2015 to hit 3 million annual revenue. Now, I would be pissed if I started a company and I wasn't over 3 million in the first year. I would just shut it down.
Yeah.
Like
Technician that sold that in a month.
Yeah, like the difference in what happens is astronomical. By the way, can you pull up YouTube on there? Yeah, on there. I want to show a video. The reality is, if someone told me that I could be at 100 million in revenue, by the way, that's one of my companies. Brody Pinnell this year did like 65, 70 million of revenue. It's a totally separate company. But it took me several years to get to 3 million. And I had a glass ceiling in my head. I had the mentality that was very poor, which was, hold on, let me put this up there. We'll see in just a second.
But Holland comes in for a pit stop, trying to refuel and change tires.
Do like full screen.
Lou Moore himself changes the tire. Only 4 crew members, including the...
Yeah, so this is back in 1950. Okay, this is the Formula One. This is the best of the best in 1950.
Oh my God.
You'll see. You guys watch Formula One today? Formula One racing?
Yeah.
And this was the fastest you could possibly be at the time. They were breaking records with this stuff. Okay, look at this guy, like trying to change the tire. He's out there with a freaking hammer. I don't even know why. Look at him, whacking at the lug nut. This guy's washing the windshield like 4 times. I don't... Hold on. You're getting there.
Tires are changed at last. A crewman walked to the windshield and Holland moved away.
Just 67 seconds. And that was revolutionary. It's 2013. It's more people, but it's more tools. It's more coordination. This is Ferrari, 2013. This team would later go to break the world record. Can you guys all see it? 2.3 seconds, I think, is the world record now. So if you had told me that I could get to 100 million back then, it would be like telling that 1950 crew that they could do it in 2.3 seconds. They never would have believed you. It wouldn't have mattered. But back then, like, that was my mentality. I didn't think I could get there. What happened is I got to 3 million in revenue, and then I flew down to a company in Texas named Champion AC, and it was owned by Ben Hubbard. And Ben Hubbard, I saw him as like superhuman. He was U.S. Special Forces, Air Force Special Forces, called Combat Control. Do you guys know what Combat Control does in the Air Force? They drop you behind enemy lines, and they give you a laser, and you point the laser at a target, and you have to hold it there until the airstrike comes in and bombs it. And then you have to quietly fight your way out by yourself until you get to an extraction point and they pull you out. And he did that over and over and over again. And then one time he was on a convoy in Afghanistan. That's something I think we share with the Russians, is getting our asses kicked in Afghanistan. So they had a Humvee in the front, a Humvee in the back, and a line of Humvees. And he was in the line with a group of Army guys. And a lot of times they add a combat controller with these teams. And they're driving down. There's two mountains, one on either side. They're driving through the center. And a IED blew up in the front. You know what IED is? Explosive. It blew up the Humvee in the front. And they all stopped. And they start trying to back up. And then an IED blew up in the back and blew up the Humvee in the back. And so there's nowhere to go. And then it was an ambush. And so a bunch of Taliban come up over the sides of the mountains, a couple hundred of them, and just started shooting down into the Humvees. And so Ben Hubbard at the time, I was talking to him about it. He's the combat controller, right? And he doesn't have the laser with him, but they're trained in mathematics. And so the bullets are flying, and when you're stressed like that, it's hard to think straight. And so bullets are flying. He crawls out of the Humvee, and everyone's just trying to run and trying to go, and they're all getting shot. And he gets to the back of the Humvee and climbs under it so he doesn't get shot, and he starts calculating out on a piece of paper where he's at and what the coordinates are. And he gets on his radio, and he said, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. But his words, I'm not gonna die, they're gonna die. That's it, I'm gonna fight my way out. And so he started calling in airstrikes on the hills on either side of him. They called back and said, you're danger close, we're not gonna drop the bombs. Danger close means you're too close to where you want us to drop the bombs, it will kill you and them. And he said, I don't give a shit, drop it. And so they came and started dropping bombs, and he starts getting hit, and dirt and everything else is falling on him. And then he started calculating out more and said, all right, fire here on this side. They said, you're danger close. He said, I don't care, do it. And they keep dropping it. And they have 77 confirmed kills that day. The rest of the Taliban started running, and most of the Americans died, but him and his group, like 20 people, survived and lived and got out of it. And he got Bronze Stars for that. And he never tells the story, but I was at his house and I saw the pictures on the wall. And anyway, that was one thing he did. He did another thing where he took over a entire airstrip by himself. It's kind of a cool story. No, this is not me. So anyway, I look at him, I think he's like Captain America, you know, I'm like, wow, that's a really cool, awesome story. But then I asked him, how much in revenue are you? And he's like, I'm 6 million in revenue. And I was 3 million in revenue. And I'm like, well, he's like superhero, you know, status, so I'll never do that. And he said, Tom, there's nothing that I do that you can't do. And I said, okay, well, he said, there's nothing I do that you can't do. And I said, well, how long ago were you at 3 million? He said, 3 years ago. And I thought, holy shit, like I could be at 6 million in revenue. And it like broke the mentality of getting to 3 million. My mentor at the time was the owner of Lee's, and that, you know, He thought 5 million was like a giant company. This guy was at 6. So I on my plane ride home, that was in Texas. On the plane ride home, I wrote down an organizational chart of what people I needed in order to get to 6 million in revenue. And with the chart I had, I could only get to about 5.8. It was by my calculations. And if I went above that, I'd have to add some more overhead. I didn't want to do that. And so I drew the chart and it said 5.8. So I said, okay, I'm too scared basically to go to 6 million. I think a lot of times we make decisions based on fear and because we're too scared. So I said, it's gonna be 5 million. I got a new goal, 5 years out. I get 5 years to get to $5 million. So I built the chart. I went back to my team. I said, this is the chart we need. This is what we need to do. We started hiring the people. We got it all in place. That year went from 3 million to 5 million and 5,000.
How long?
1 year instead of 5. And I thought, oh my gosh, like once my mentality was that I could get there, we got there. And now at this point, I realized that my goals were probably the worst thing that I had for myself. My goals were too small. And Ken Goodrich came to my house later and he said, Tom, last year I bought a private jet. That was my last lifetime goal I wanted to achieve, was buying a private jet. And it was a nice jet. We're not talking like little jet. We're talking big jet with like a couch and TVs and everything else. And he said, I have one regret. I said, what is that? He said, I wish I would have made bigger goals sooner because I would have hit those too. And I thought, oh my gosh. So at this point, I go out, I make a $10 million goal. And I said, okay, new goal, $10 million. At this point, I thought it was like, I don't know if you guys know Austin Powers, but I was like Dr. Evil, like $10 million. I mean, I was just making this shit up, like whatever. It was supposed to be 5 years to get to 10 million. That year we did 9.4 million. So we almost hit it that first year.
For the next year?
For the next year, yeah. So we almost grew 100%. It was 87% growth rate that year. And by the way, we spent 1.8% that year on marketing. And we're growing like crazy. Yeah, I'm at 6.5% right now. So our cost of marketing's gone up a little bit. Anyway, and quite
percent of the marketing, right?
What?
Like a 20% of the revenue was used on marketing.
1.8%.
1.8. Oh, I guess.
Yeah, to get from 5 to 9.4. But I mean, we're finding different ways to do it. We had it on our head that we could do it, and we're doing odd things to try to get there. We were parking our trucks that we didn't use over the weekends at shopping malls where they wouldn't tow us. We had one mall that we found out would tow us every time, so we just stopped doing it there, and then we go to a different one. It was River Park, and park there because they just would never tow us. Fashion Fair would. Fashion Fair is a ghetto mall.
If you look at that in an organized, duplicatable fashion, that's adapting.
Yeah.
It's adapting. What do you have to do based off your consumer perception in your market? They are spending their money somewhere. What are they spending it on? And how do you appeal to those people? That's what adapting is. Back then, it used to be, how do you get brand recognition? So Tom would make his own billboards, literally, like build his own billboards, sure did. And he would park his trucks in random spots. The general manager of Lee's Air today in Fresno, which is a more than $50 to $60 million division, used to work for Tom back then for, he was a sweeper as well. And his job, he remembers it. He's still there as a general manager today, but he remembers going on Friday to drop these trucks off because he'd have to spend a few hours and have Uber, right? 2 people would have to go, drop it off, go back and get another one. And he would go drop these trucks off. And he remembers doing that. But back then, there wasn't Google.
There wasn't Uber, actually. We'd have to pay somebody to come pick us up. It was bad.
But there was, how do you get brand recognition? You build your own billboards, you park your trucks different places, stuff like that. If we're looking at today, 2025, how do you get brand recognition? Social media, your local social media. All the people that are going to spend money with you are in your local area. Now, what we used to know where's the major traffic at the shopping mall, right? Where's the major traffic now? They're buying on Amazon, they're buying on their phones, but you can reach 10 times more people through your social media than Tom could with a van in the parking lot.
But by the way, don't take pictures of your air conditioner and post it on social media and call it social media. Like no one wants to see pictures of your
You guys
damn air
have
conditioner.
Social media plans, the franchisees. Yeah, you guys got that.
Yeah, don't.
You've got to brand, but when you notice, I see a lot of, including Lee's is probably one of the best that are doing it, but we're seeing companies across the country leverage their social media within their community. So they're not even advertising appliance repair. They're going to the other businesses in the towns doing social media collaboration, reviewing, oh, we're going to this restaurant in our town, reviewing it. And then the restaurant is putting it out everywhere. And then people are seeing, oh, brand recognition, there's an appliance repair. Oh, I have an appliance that needs repaired. And then they call you. So that's just part of adapting. When he talks about all these different things that he did to get from 3 million up until, I don't know what he's talking about, because when I took Lee's over in 2023, I had like 2 years to get from 30 to 100 million. So his dreams got bigger, and we started to move.
Well, we did. When she took over, we're 27 million in revenue that year, the previous year. And then that year we went from 27 to 54. So it was a 100% growth rate. And so my lifetime goal of 3 million obviously went out the door when I was like, okay, I hit 3 million. Now what do I do? And it took me 5 years to get there because that's the goal I made. And I didn't think that it was possible to get past that. And then the interesting thing is that at 10 million, when I got to 9.4, everyone told me that you couldn't grow a company past 10 million in revenue in Fresno, California. And I believed it. And so a lot of times, whatever you believe in your head, that's where you stop progressing. And so at that point, I went from 9.4. The next year I did like 11.2 and then 12.7. And we had these piddly little growth rates. And at that point, I was just going around consulting for other companies because in my head, I hit the max. And I was like, well, all right, that's it. That's all I can do. I'll go consult. I'll do other stuff and whatever. And then I sat down and did a analysis of my area and figured out that was a lie. It was a lie I told myself. It's a lie that I heard from other people, that I could only be that big. And I did the math and I could do over $100 million just in Fresno. And so mathematically, I was like, this is stupid. And then all of a sudden we started growing again. We got to 20 million, 25, 27. And then Kathryn came on, we went to 54. And it was like, bam, it was fast. Then we got Sacramento and Las Vegas and Los Angeles and whatever, and it just started adding and adding and adding, and then those ones are growing, and so you can keep growing that company. But to answer your question, I had to overcome myself. It's usually self-limiting beliefs, like that glass ceiling that you're talking about, that it just stops from allowing you to continue to grow and get to where you want to be. I had to start relying on logic and mathematics and not like just bullshit stories that I told myself. We get emotional about things.
Actually, I'm going to cut in here because
Yeah.
I've been doing some extensive work on this with an executive coach named Keith Mercurio. And your identity, where you identify, when he talks about, he built out that org chart, a lot of times you're the problem. In your business, you're the limiting beliefs. Almost all the time. You're the problem, and it's your own limiting beliefs. And that belief system comes from your identity. And what you realize as you study these things, your identity was given to you, it wasn't chosen. He believed that you couldn't build over 10 million in Fresno because people told him that. He's talking all about business, but if you look at personally, people tell you if you're an immigrant, you're a limited opportunity here. People, if you were born in this country at a lower socioeconomic status, you develop an identity based off what people tell you about your environment, who you are as a person, how much money you have, what opportunities. Maybe you're loud, right? You guys are Russian. Some Russians are loud. Armenians are very loud. I am a loud person. I know I'm a loud person, but that follows you as an identity, right? Are you rich? Are you poor? Are you fat? Are you skinny? Do you live in this neighborhood? Do you live in that neighborhood? Where can your kids go to school? And through all of this that's given to you, you establish that identity. And that identity that's given to you is where that core belief, those core belief systems come from. And so when you realize that was the identity given to me, all of the things that people told him about his business, the identity of his business, and it wasn't something that I chose. Instead, you can choose to go past 10 million. You can choose not to participate in the recession by making the adaptations and pivots to make money that way. You can choose to change that identity. And when you change that identity and change your core belief systems based off what's possible, it's very simple that those belief systems drive your actions. And then from your actions are going to determine your results. Those results that you get are either going to reaffirm the identity that was given to you, or it's going to contradict it. When he got past 12 million, it contradicted the identity that you couldn't build a business past 10 million in Fresno. We're over 50 million in Fresno today. Profitably, very profitably in Fresno. But that's because he decided to change the identity that was given to his business in Fresno, and therefore change the core belief systems about what was possible, which then, because those belief systems change, your actions will change, your results will change. I will say though, in my own circumstance, and there's a lot of other people, once you get results up here that contradict the identity that you believe to be true prior, that is a mind fuck. For sure. For sure. Some of the times, like when he was talking about when he was doing this and on a religious mission, I was in federal prison those years for selling cocaine. Okay? Yeah. All right. We'll put that.
Well, that was one of the reasons you were in
One of
prison.
the reasons I was in federal prison was cocaine. It's the easiest to understand there. There's a little more explicit. When I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, I didn't get a degree in finance like Tom did. I was 16 and pregnant. I was a teenage mother. Went to federal prison, did drugs. So imagine the identity that comes in on that. And so suddenly there was 2 points in time that I can remember that hit me exactly what you were talking about, where my results directly contradicted the identity that I believed to be true. And that was, I graduated in February from Stanford. I dropped out of high school. Right. And I woke up the next morning and said, holy shit, I'm looking at this leather-bound Stanford degree. And I identified 20 years as a high school dropout. And if you don't have a high school diploma, you sure as fuck can't have a $100 million business in this country. They're directly related. Now, is that true? Absolutely not. Because Lee's was growing and I was in charge of it before I graduated from Stanford. And my highest level of education was the 10th grade at that time. You know, and the other time was when I had taken over Lee's. You might remember this. And we had grown and we had those amazing results from 27 to 54 million in one location. And I spoke at Pantheon about it last year. And at Pantheon was the first time that we went in front of the whole world and said, look what we did from 27 to 54 million in 1 year at one location on a 10th grade education. And I talked about it. I left from Pantheon to go to Armenia for a wedding. And halfway over to Armenia, which going back to Armenia, my identity starts to catch up with me, because I remember leaving this country to go to Armenia. When I lived in Armenia, it was very much so to escape the identity that I had developed here. And so going back to Armenia after Pantheon and explaining all these results, I remember calling you from the Warsaw airport in tears saying, everyone thinks I am all of this, but I'm not. I'm still me. And at some point in time, you have to overcome that, because you can have $100 million business. I don't know your background or what it is, but if you decided to do it, no matter what the identity is that you have as an immigrant, whatever, how you were born, whatever your family told you, any of it, it's all what you believe to be that identity. If you want to have $100 million business, it doesn't matter. I'm a 5-time convicted felon and a high school dropout. I was delusional to think I could get those results, but we did it, right? So here we are. So a lot of times it'll be your identity that forms those beliefs, but remember, your identity and your beliefs were given to you. So what I teach people is to change that identity and change those beliefs. You have to change your surroundings. You have to tap into people like Adam and listen to what he's saying, not to the people who are saying, you're never going to make any money over there. You should stop investing in your business. Don't implement new technology. It costs too much. Fuck that social media. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, they're telling you, change your environment. Change the things that people are telling you about your identity.
I've never had someone that's more successful than me tell me that I'm doing too much. I've never had someone that's more successful than me tell me that, oh yeah, you'll never make it or whatever else. Like, well, some of them are kind of stupid, but the people that are more successful than me are like, yeah, you're doing it. It's people that are less successful than me, like, you're doing too much. It's a bad idea. Stop investing like that, whatever.
Yeah.
People that are more successful than me, it's like, you got to go hard. You got to make it happen. You can do it.
Risk, take more risks. People that get big rewards usually take big risks. It's how it is. But then once you realize that it's your environment that determines that identity and beliefs, actions is actually very much so mental. It's your identity and your beliefs is not changing when it's here, it's what's changing all around you. It's just changing what feeds into you. Your actions takes courage, and to get results, you need perseverance. You need those two mental qualities. But down here, it's very much so your identity and your beliefs. It's changing your environment, listening, believing that it's actually possible to build what kind of business that you want, to employ the kind of people that you want, to pay the salaries that you want, to get the results that you want. You have to believe that it's true, and then expect that when you get those results, when you do all of that work, you get those results and it contradicts that original identity like you talked about when you said, have you ever had a, and I knew exactly what you meant when you said that, because I've had it distinctively. Waking up from Stanford, I didn't even invite anyone. Tom paid $84,000 for me to go to Stanford. I didn't invite him to my graduation because up until the day that I graduated, I thought, they'll probably tell me it's not gonna go through. They'll say there was a glitch because my identity had not yet accepted that tomorrow I'm gonna graduate from Stanford. And it was the next morning. I was like, holy shit. So it'll happen, but just keep going, reaffirm that identity and change. That's it.
It was nice.
Yes.
So I'm just want to add.
Great question.
Yeah, great question. I want to just add some of these guys coming to our San Jose locations and running like jobs with experienced technicians, and some of them like seeing what these guys are not experienced. They have no clue. They have no technical any knowledge whatsoever, and they saying that why Adam sold you the franchise? You have no idea. You have no clue what's going on. You will never gonna be successful entrepreneur because Adam was like engineer whatsoever. So, and he said like, what the heck? And he telling me, I'm not gonna be a successful home services businessman. And I'm like, don't worry. This guy, you have to take from him maximum technical knowledge, put to your business and grow on other things. So this guy, this why he's technician.
Mm-hmm.
He, for this purpose, he's doing his stuff.
Yeah.
He's good, very good on his technical things. This is why he's staying on this position for many years. He's very nice guy, but he's been chosen to make his job for this moment.
Tom can't fix an air conditioner. Let's be honest, Tom.
Well, when I started, I couldn't at all. I couldn't. The only reason I went and got my NATE training and everything else.
Oh, okay. I guess you could.
Yeah. Not only that, I passed 3 of them.
Not on an inverter. I'm not putting you on an inverter.
Actually, the thing is, by the time I got out of the field, inverters didn't exist. So I've never touched an inverter.
No. And how much your business is worth? Hundreds of millions, several of them.
Yeah, but I mean, for the first 5 or 6 years I was in the trades, I couldn't fix an air conditioner. Saved my life. Yeah. I mean, I had to go out and I had to learn it. And the only reason I learned it is because I wanted to set an example for my technicians. And so I started running service calls and doing those things. And I took classes and did what I had to do. And then the NATE exams were a big deal back then, the North American Technician Excellence, and they're tough to pass. And the technicians were complaining that they couldn't pass them. And so in order to prove a point, I went and I passed 3 of them. Because the guy with the most passes in my company was 2, so I went and did 3. But it was more about just proving that I could, lead the team. But I didn't need that in order to run a company. I didn't need that to make myself successful. I didn't need that. Like, that all came afterwards. So
If you look at the Fetching Millions book on a like lower level example, I was not in the trades at all. I was obviously very busy selling cocaine and doing some other things in my life, not involved in the trades, right? And so
she said on a podcast, she said, I had $1 million business before Tom did.
I did.
And I said,
Marshall's federal court says we trafficked $1.3 million in cocaine.
so she's like,
Terrible exit strategy. Terrible.
she said the problem is,
Net profit.
Yeah. No, profit margins are way high. They're way high.
she said, you know, the only problem with mine is that there's a lot of regulation in my industry, not as much in New York.
More than yours.
Yeah.
Licensing is non-existent. It's really difficult. However, though,
There is. They call them pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. With that, how I did come into the trades, obviously, I was going through a divorce and I decided I was going to move to Armenia. This country was not large enough for the both of us, me and my ex-husband. And I called Tom one day and said, can you think of any good reason why I shouldn't move to Armenia? And it was during COVID. So get me out of this country. They're all happy over there. Like COVID does not exist. They don't have any medical. And so their prime minister has said, we are not going to worry about COVID because we are kind people. So I thought that's a spot for me. It's true. Passion.
They have a soup out there called kash. And it's based, what? Kash. Yeah. And they said, we don't need vaccines because we have hash.
Yeah.
And just eat some hash
So
and we'll be good.
Go there. I want to be happy. I want to relax. I'm going to go there. And he said, well, if you're going there, could you help me? It was COVID time and he was having trouble staffing these entry
Call center.
call center in California. I said, oh, yes, of course. I will do that. So I went there and I did have no experience. I ended up coming back here to Fetch a Tech to help in the call center here. And while we were there, once we got the call center set up, I was noticing that the HVAC manager, he had like no idea how to do a training, how to be a team builder, how to manage a team. And it was HVAC. I had no experience in HVAC at all. I couldn't even spell HVAC. Okay. And I said, well, why don't you let me do a training just on six?
Well, hold on. This is important. Because I went to talk to the manager of the company and he gets to make the decisions within the business. I own the business, but I always respect the general manager. And I told him, I said, you should have Kathryn do it. And he said, she can't do that. She doesn't have any, and this is the important part, she doesn't have any experience. She doesn't even know how to fix an air conditioner. I said, well, I've got news for you. Your service manager doesn't either. So it doesn't matter. And he said, well, you have a point. He sucks pretty bad. And I said, you got to give her a chance. And he wouldn't do it. And just in his mind, the mentality is that she doesn't look like a HVAC service manager.
And he was.
She's not a guy and she's not a technician and she's not a this and not a that. And that doesn't make sense. And so he just said no. And I asked him 2 or 3 times. I kept telling him. And then what happened was one day, the service manager couldn't come in.
No, that's not what happened. I asked them, can I do a training for your team? Because
he called you at 8 o'clock at night the night before.
This was a service manager and he would come in and up on the thing, he would put a word of the day, hypotenuse, and break down the origins of the word. He was not a technician either. And he had the team. I said, let me run the morning meeting. I ran one morning meeting that afternoon. They said, will you take over HVAC? And I thought, I have not got any experience. I don't know HVAC. And they said, your job is to drive the revenue. I said, oh shit, I can do that. I love money.
Well,
let's
the
do
service manager the general manager saw her run the meeting.
Yeah,
and then after that, he's like, okay, all right. And he said, she can do it.
And that one, I took over HVAC the last week of August in that company. And we had an incredible fourth quarter. I think we had around 3 million in HVAC in the first 3 million in EBITDA the first 8 months in that business. We did another 3 million in EBITDA in the last 4 after our HVAC team really started to drive revenue. We had a good acquisition, good customer base that we added in, and we did change the management in HVAC over to me. We already, even even prior, they had good technicians and good salespeople, some of the best in that company. But changing the management to someone focused on driving revenue and focused on the business made a big difference, because business is a skill set, just like technicians. Running a business, being strategic, making strategic decisions by design to benefit your bottom line. That's business. It's a skill set, just like being a technician. So people who are good at that, I could do that anywhere. When I talk about doing roll-ups right now, after I exited from Lee's, as they prepare to exit, several private equity companies have come to me requesting to do roll-ups, and they're throwing things out now. Like, what about foundation repair, Kathryn? How about we do a foundation repair roll-up? I don't know anything about foundation repair. That's okay. You know how to do a roll-up. And I'm thinking, does it matter if I do foundation repair or plumbing or electrical? It's all business. It's all business. It's going to be the same. So I think business is a skill set, and someone with good business. And really with business, you have to just have the desire to learn, take risks. All of these different things is what makes you successful in business. And I would say a fix-it, technician-minded, fix-it skill set is the opposite of what I want to be analytical business driver.
We've learned yesterday about the risks because we in Las Vegas. So our organization of who is doing this event, he was giving to us even amount of the chips, and we was running all the activities, and each activity give us more chips. Yes. And then in the end, and we was running the score for each player. Every time, like every 2 hours or like 1 hour, we just changing the amounts of the chips of each player. And in the end, we have ability to have a beat to the teams who already lose, but they want to like a beat to the players who won certain activity, the final activity. So
who won?
Bets. We did the bets.
No.
Oh, you just bet you didn't.
We had like
a
big, like a small statue with like a Fusement 2025. Like this guy won with 77.
You want
But
to see a picture? You want to see a picture?
Yeah. Let's see the picture.
So, but the thing is, I came like in the end with 0. Because I lose everything.
Big loser.
Stan lose everything. He came with 0 to 30.
Because you risked everything.
Yes, I put everything to the team where was that team was called VIPs. I have no idea because they had like a.
But you risked everything.
No, what they did, they bought in the beginning the black bracelets, and they paid for that to be VIPs in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
And this why they've been put into the pre-final immediately.
Okay.
Because it was like they bought Bitcoin in the beginning.
Yep.
And that Bitcoin was like increased. And it was like a hidden story in this like activities. So it was like a very nice thing, and we played the risks management in that time as well.
Yeah.
It was super cool. So in terms of the roll-ups, because these guys playing small games, they trying to still make more money, make more acquisition of the customers, not the companies. And I'm telling them, this is why I'm like recording the podcast with certain of people, and they like sharing their stories, how they sell the company, how they buying another company, doing roll-ups or what. These people kind of have no idea what is this. And I'm telling them, you have to gain, you have no money right now, but your all capital goes to your company. And maybe after 1-2 years, maybe some of the guys like Tom, Katie comes to your company and ask you like, why you don't want to do just a play roll-up game? We're gonna come to your company, like buy 50 or whatsoever amount of the shares, and then we're gonna sell it after 1-3 years for multiplying the capital to 5 times and could exit. And these people kind of, can you just tell us a little bit how it works?
Yeah.
From the beginning, the company who, as Tom said, if he gonna run the 1 million company in first year, he gonna just quit because it's not his kind of desire.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be though. He started at Lee's with a tiny little company. It
No,
used to be
right now, for
Yeah.
example, he
Right.
pressed reset button and like, okay, I'm gonna start the business and
Yeah,
home
a
service.
roll up isn't possible at all unless you already have a valuable business. So I tell everyone. Roll up is, I call it a roll up when we take, let's say I have 10 plumbing companies. Each one of them has $1 million in profit. I can put them together and sell them as a package as a company that has $10 million in profit. My specialty with that is getting them all under the same technology, same systems, synergizing their systems, reporting based management to make the financials clean. With that, and larger in our public markets, private and public markets, funds will come in and they'll pay you 5 or 7 times your current profit for the business. So if fetching millions right there, Fetch a Tech in the first year it was from got to 25 million in revenue with 6 million in profit. And they'll give you anywhere from like some number between 11 and 13, one of those, you know, in there, that multiple on, and that's what they value your business. That's how they value our business, is the multiple of the profit. But before you can even think about putting 10 companies together, you have to have one profitable company.
Well, let's just do the math there. So if you're at 6 million in profit and they give you 10 times, it'd be $60 million payout.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened in the book.
So
We
just
can't say exactly what the number
You
is.
have $1 million revenue company with 10% net profit in the end of the year, and you have a multiplier 10x. So imagine you can sell your company to private equity for $1 million. If you will have 500.
Well, at 100,000, they won't buy it. 100,000 in profit.
Well, some
When you get to
people
1 million,
like, not
they'll-
very much.
it'll be the
Small private
Yeah.
equity
Tuck in,
companies,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
you got an idea what this thing is possible, and you will just have to push yourself as Tom and Katie did to make this happen. And if you want to have exit strategy, it's gonna work anytime.
But it all starts with one company making money. You know, a lot of times we think about go up and do big companies, stuff like that. Even him and I were.
How much?
How much?
To be interested in to be interested for the people who made roll. My company made, let's say, 1 million. Interested
1 million in profit or 1 million in revenue.
for 1 million of revenue.
No.
Yeah, no.
Just running his
You
business first year, guys.
Mostly you need about $1 million in profit. But you start, I always tell people, 1 is on the way to 100. You have to hit 1 million before you can hit 100 million, and focus on that and do it well. And then sometimes when we talk about profit, you need to learn your financials, because you might have profit on the bottom. Doesn't mean that you put that money into your pocket. It means you reinvested it at the top so that you can get a bigger number on the bottom.
That's what we're doing.
Yes, that's exactly what you want to do. Reinvest it, and then it gets a bigger number. Like you said, you increased your marketing to what percentage during growth?
At the time, back when I was going from 5 million to 9.4, I was only 1.8%. 1.8. Now, right now, I'm hovering around 6 to 7, 6.5%. But I've had companies that I'm spending 12, 13, 14% while if I'm in a new market and haven't
gone.
gone
Pave the parking lot in Fresno.
50 grand.
50 grand, and that's just like little reinvestments, because we had to pay the parking lot to make room for more trucks, right? What are some other reinvestments that you had to do? Bigger building.
I bought a building. I paid for that out of my pocket though. You know,
He said
you're
he
investing in
paid for-
trucks. Yeah, that was $80,000.
Investment.
I paid 7 grand out of my personal credit card to send her to tech school to learn the technician stuff.
Yeah, when they made me the HVAC manager at HVAC school. Same.
Yeah.
While I was the
So-
HVAC manager at Fetch a Tech nights and weekends, I did HVAC school so that I did learn the
But
tech class.
just so you know, like if you're small and you have like $100,000 in profit, local companies will buy you up for like 2 times profit. So they'll pay like $200,000 for that,
Probably.
which happens, and they just tuck you in. That means they bring you into their existing business. As you get bigger and more profit, a roll-up will come in and say, okay, we want to make you a standalone company in that area, but you got to have at least $1 million in profit before they even get excited about looking at that.
So in the roll-up, can you make franchisee a little different, like an independent business?
a lot of times with the roll-ups, you've got to make some kind of agreement with your franchisor that says, okay, you know, we're breaking off at this point. So you need to talk to whoever your franchisor is. Yeah, talk to
I'm sure that he can help you guys develop a strategy. Once you do hit a certain threshold, you build your fuse business to a certain level, then that's when you can start thinking about those things for sure.
And being a small guy, like first year in business, already experienced like 100+% growth, revenues and profits, but haven't yet allocated even like 10% of capital into the growth. What would you try to jump and 10x your business, or
what are you doing? Did client prepare or you HVAC? HVAC. Where are you?
Los Angeles.
Oh damn, how's that going?
Pretty good, but
Wow.
I'm afraid of aggressive growth. I haven't allocated like 10% of what I could have. It was already growing, right? I don't have experience.
Well, so don't spend money just to spend money. Like, make sure you have a reason to spend it that's actually going to be effective. And if you don't have a reason, then don't do it. Additionally, the cap on your growth is always going to be your ability to run the business to that size. There's multiple times where I get to 10 million and I didn't know what the problems were. And that's another reason why it helped that I slowed down at that point to like grow into the manager of a $10 million business. It was different when Kathryn was at Lee's, because if Kathryn had something go wrong, she always called me and say, hey, what the hell do I do? And I'm like, I don't know, let's figure it out. And we'd talk through it and work through that stuff. When you're the only person
People like that.
Yeah.
I made sure I had about 12 people on my speed dial, the same way that you guys have your guys in the franchise, that if I needed something that I didn't know, I would seek an advisor.
Yeah, like Ellen Rohr, she was the president of the largest plumbing franchise in the country, Ben Franklin Plumbing. And so I hired Ellen and said, hey, I want you to work with Kathryn. And so they would work together and talk. And like, I think also because Ellen was a woman, Kathryn listened to her a little bit more than she would listen to me. And Kathryn told me—
Ellen is really smart.
Half the time, Kathryn told me go fuck myself. That's the reality of the situation. So Ellen,
more than half the time.
Ellen would try to, work in, but when you're the only person and you've never done it before, it gets scary because you're like, oh shit, I could lose everything and I don't even know what's going wrong. And there's multiple times in my business where something's going sideways. I don't even know what it is. If I knew what it was, I would fix it, but I don't know. And it could be margins are sliding. It could be growth is slowing down. It could be my marketing is going out of control. You never know. And that's the crazy thing about business. But if you're at that point where you're worried about that, it is fine to slow down and say, okay, like let's get better at this first. I will tell you though, in HVAC, how much in revenue are you right now?
I'm at 100K roughly, but like I said, I have
100K per month in revenue. Okay, so that's a scary spot to be in because a bad season could destroy you, right? Like if you get a bad season, you're not able to market.
Because it was rough for HVAC in Los Angeles.
But
it was cold.
I could have started being slow, intentional, and be more aggressive.
I would be more aggressive because the sooner you get to like 3 million in revenue for the year, so you're like 250,000, 280,000 a month, you get a little bit more safety because then if you have a bad year, like it goes down to 200 a month. And right now at 100 a month, they can go down to 0 pretty quickly, and then you have all this overhead and things you have to pay for. I tell people try to get to that $3 million to $5 million of revenue as quick as you can.
Good advice.
And then
I'll take it.
And if you have bad periods, it's not the end of the world. Like Tom said, you just have to figure out what's going wrong and fix it. There was a time in 2023 when I took over Lee's, Tom was losing 6 figures a week.
Yeah, we lost. So September.
But at the end of it, he just fixed it.
September 2023 was the worst month for all ServiceTitan contractors is combined. It's the first time and only time the average growth rate of a contractor on ServiceTitan was negative 2 to 3%. September 2023 for that month, September over September, and we lost $480,000 that month, and I was going through a divorce. It was it was fortuitous for me because they were doing the valuation on the company. I was like,
that's all it is.
But at the time I talked to Kathryn and I talked to another guy named Phil Fulaski. It was probably like November that Phil came over and Kathryn came over.
November 15th,
and said
2023.
Yeah, and then they came over and that really turned things around. I wanted to fire a bunch of people on the staff. She only fired a couple, but turned the rest of it around. Yeah,
But
it wasn't 50.
Yeah, it was 47.
It was the CSR manager and a couple of salespeople that really, needed to go. Yeah.
Okay, we were talking over the first 6 months.
Oh no, I'm talking about
47
October.
people filled in on
November.
Yeah,
December.
it was the salespeople, it was the controller, it was the general manager, it was all of those people over time. But the point is, business goes like this. He just said there's going to be bad years. You're going to have a whole bad year in business. It doesn't mean you're out of business. Doesn't mean you're bad at this. Doesn't mean you can't be in business. It just means you need to pivot.
I wanted to sign those books.
Yeah, thanks. So Tom will have to leave in 10 minutes. I'll ask him to sign these books for you guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's these.
About this book, this is a handbook, actually, how to do it.
Handbook.
This is a very straightforward thing, how to do everything. In the title here, millions.
Fetching
Not
millions.
million.
Yeah, the company was called Fetch A Tech. So, yeah, I'll sign these for you guys. But the market in Vegas, it's okay right now. It's not. It's like the rest of the country. We had the coldest summer on record in 25 years. So for HVAC, it's been hard this past summer. I want to just wait and not sell my company until after next summer. But Kathryn has shares, and other people have shares that want to sell right away. So we're selling. We're putting it on the market here in the next few weeks. So I'll just take the money I get and move on to the next one. So
During your signing, you can just put for Fuse Tom Howard or what? I don't know. Oh, can you put me for Fuse man?
Oh, well, I'll do one for you for a few.
Okay.
So you always want to hit. I mean, it depends on what industry you're in. Are you appliance repair? Okay, in HVAC, I want to target about 15% profit. If I'm in plumbing, I want to target about 20% net profit. Plumbing, you can drive higher margins. And I've had bad years where I don't make 15%. I make 8 or 9 or 10, and good years where I make 15 or higher. But the marketing budget depends on what you're doing and how much growth you want to have. Because what you need to look at is what is the cost of acquiring a new customer and how many new customers do I need to acquire? If I'm getting all my revenue from existing customers, my marketing budget should be much lower. If I'm getting my all new customers because I'm trying to grow my business by 100%, then my marketing budget should be higher. So the marketing as a percentage of revenue it's a bad number to look at. 10 to 50% if you're a new company, growing a new area, you're probably gonna have to spend that to get there. I know companies that spend 20 or 30% their first year because no one knows who they are. When I was working at A1 Garage, we would do that in new markets. So I wasn't working there, I was on the board of directors, but Tommy Mello, when he's going into a new market, he's gonna have to spend more on marketing to try to let people know who he is and get into the area. And then as he gets in the market, the marketing cost comes down.
And he's in Arizona, right?
Yeah. But he's in 22 locations in he's in 40 locations in 22 states. So he's in a lot of areas.
So Ruslan, what is the profit margin, if not secret, for Fuse Service San Jose?
For September 2025, we had a net profit negative 1.5%.
Well, what was the last year average?
4%.
4%.
4%. Just 4%. For what reason you ask me the next? For less pay taxes. We have no exit strategy for this moment, and we are not developing this way. So all the money we're gaining, we're reinvesting to the company to pay less taxes, even in California. If we're gonna work on the exit strategy, or so how it's called, or to sell the company, for sure we're gonna work for bottom line to make it as much as possible to sell as much as possible.
But basically, all executives get paid well, so you don't really need to have profits on the book, right?
Okay. Well, with the executives getting paid well, when you go to sell your business, what they're going to look at is they're going to look at what they would have paid an executive for that year. So if you paid yourself $500,000 for the year and they only need like $200,000 or $300,000 to pay an executive, they'll add back the $200,000 to the profit. So it doesn't matter what you pay yourself. But if you're paying yourself nothing to try to make your profit look better, when they look to buy your business, they're going to add in a cost of what they charge. So you might as well pay yourself anyway. It's not going to make your profit any better for the sale. Yeah, on Amazon. And it's on audiobook now too, so you can listen to it. But it's not translated to Russian. But you speak English perfectly well, so it's fine. And all the profit goes to charity. I mean, I don't make anything on this. I don't give a shit. Like, it's like, I think the profit on this is $1.50 a book. So, I'm like, yeah, I don't want people thinking I'm selling this book for profit.
It's kind of another way to make impact,
Yeah.
in my opinion, because how did this book happen? Did you have a desire to make it write something like this, or someone pushed
What's
you?
your point to write it?
I wanted to tell people, so my goal of this whole time is when I was in high school, what Kathryn didn't talk about when we were here is that I had a teacher and he called me a grease monkey because I was working in air conditioning and plumbing and stuff, and they had a class for that, and it was my mathematics teacher. I was in advanced mathematics and advanced science in high school, but then the afternoon I would go to air conditioning school, and I didn't like it. I hated it. You know, he made fun of me, and I performed very well in his class. I took 3rd place in his class, and I never did homework. I never studied, but I just understood it, and so that made him pretty angry. And I hate the grease monkey name and everything else, and I want people to know that this is what can happen in the trades. You can make
like a bullying thing, or?
Yeah, he's just an asshole. He's the teacher, you know? And I said, I want people in the trades to be respected. I want people to realize what can happen. And 6 months before Service Titan went public, the Wall Street Journal published an article called The New Class of Millionaires, Air Conditioning and Plumbing Contractors. Yeah. And so I read the article, and there's 8 companies listed in there. All 8 of them, all the private equity companies and all the companies in there are all on Service Titan. And we used that when we went to go public, and we showed all the investors, this is what can happen. You know, it was a big deal. And we became the most oversubscribed IPO in history, which means more people wanted to buy it than we had shares to sell. And by the time it went public, it was the 2nd most oversubscribed, but it went public at $10 billion valuation. And to me, that's the win. It told the whole world, like, hey, the trades are worth investing in. And so when I write books like this and stuff, I want to tell everybody about how to do this. I want everyone to know this is what you can do in the industry. This is how you can win. This is how you can make money. We bought this company for $0 and we sold it 16 months later for tens and tens of millions. I can't say how much because there's an NDA, but it was $6 million in profit. It was more than 10x, 10 times EBITDA. It talks about it in the book. So just do the math. 0 to 16 months later, selling for that much money.
What's the 2nd best book you would recommend after this one?
Well, I don't even think this is the best book. I'd read other books before I read this. It's just my book. So this one's just easy to read because I actually wrote it myself. Like, it's just normal language. I would read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. I would read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. There's one on, there's a story about Elon Musk. It's a very long book by Wilkinson. There's also one by Ashley Vance. Ashley Vance is older though. The Wilkinson's one is newer. Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Did you learn sales on the job, on the practice, or you read books or took classes?
Who said he is not good sir?
I took classes and things. I got much better, and I just listened to the sales guys that were good, and that's how I got better at it. But yeah, I mean, sales is super important. It's going to be very hard for you guys because having English as your 2nd language is difficult. I've been in sales in another country before. It was very hard for me, but I also spent a lot of time working on my language skills.
In Hungary.
Yep. I was selling religion essentially for free,
like,
but I mean, I'm knocking on doors and talking to people about religion. It's difficult. I believed in it though. So that's why it worked. So.
My English teacher was actually a missionary from US.
Yeah?
That's how I learned.
What religion was he?
He was evangelical, I'm not.
Yeah.
Was in Azerbaijan.
Where did you live? In Azerbaijan? Yeah, that's interesting. Because are you Azerbaijani or?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and we lived in Armenia, so totally different thing. But yeah, and Armenian I don't even speak enough. I speak enough to like say a few sentences, but that's it. But no, I lived in Hungary, and yeah, I lived all over. I lived in Győr, Veszprém, Eger, Pest, Debrecen, a few other. I don't know if you've been there, but Azerbaijan, that's a tiny country. Were you born in Turkey?
No, I mean, ethnically, Azerbaijanis are Turks, are the same nation. That's
Yeah.
almost the same, like Ukraine and Russian, of course.
Yeah, I almost went over there when the war was happening. I had the flight bought because I was supposed to go over there, then the war broke out. And Vahe, the president of Surfside, got really mad. And he called me and said, "You are not getting on the plane." And Vahe is Armenian. And I was like, "I'm going." He said, "No, you're not." So I basically had to stop and not take the flight.
I know the guy who started service fighting with Armenians, no?
Both of them, yeah.
But everything is peaceful now. We already have peaceful.
Yeah. I've been over there since a couple of times. I actually started that company out there, the call center that Kathryn was teaching at, and Kathryn was hiring at, in order to not get deported. They're going to deport me from the country because I was overstaying my time. But if you own a business there, they won't deport you. So I was like, okay, I'll start a business. They're like, well, what are you going to start? I was like, well, I'll figure it out. Any other questions?
Kathryn's told the story how she was smuggling MacBooks to the Armenia from United States during the COVID because there was no computers available for purchase in Armenia at that time.
Yeah.
So balance your business and balance. That's the question.
The year before I got a divorce, I was only working 4 hours, 5 hours a day, 4 or 5 days a week. I wasn't working a lot the year before I got a divorce. The working wasn't a problem. She always wanted me to work to make more money. There was other stuff in our relationship that, she had some personal problems and led to some drug use and other things that just tore everything apart. So my oldest one actually lives with me now since that video. And the other 3 are living in Hawaii. I hope that they want to move over soon as well. I go to Hawaii every month now to see my kids. So I leave on Friday. I'm going back for another week. I just got back from 2 weeks ago. So I just go there a lot. And then in the summer, they stay with me. I wish that wouldn't have happened. The first 15 years of our marriage was very good. She even says it. It was an amazing marriage for the first 15 years.
Good thing it wasn't the business, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was the business at all. She doesn't even say it was the business. She knows, that's not the case. It was other things. And honestly, one of the reasons my business got so big was because of her. She was very supportive and always wanted me to try harder and, earn more money for the family. And so I think if you're going to get married, you need to find somebody that wants to be along for the ride and wants to get excited about it. And that's, we're very happy for 15 years. So we went on dates every week, made sure that we set aside time for just us and all that stuff. And we did all the things that were good. Everything in the marriage was good. Everything from date night to buying her flowers to sex, everything. So it was good. Just that last 2 years, things changed. And that was hard. And that was the hardest thing I've done in my life, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I never thought I would be divorced. My parents were divorced, and I said I would never do that to my kids. It sucks. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
4, all boys.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
About your kids.
Yeah.
A lot of people that achieved a lot in life, they have this thing that their kids, they'll be measuring themselves compared to their parents. So what do you think about that? Are they going to have super high expectations for this? I feel that they're underachieving because of you.
So what's important to me is not what is important to most people. I don't care about the money anymore. Once Lee sells, that'll be enough to pay off my ex-wife because I owe her a bunch of money from the divorce. I owe her about $30 million. So it's pre-tax. It's $18 million post-tax. I think I owe her 17 million and something left. I can't remember what it is. Plus I owe her about $3 million in alimony and child support over the next 16 more years left on that. Anyway, it's a lot of money. And not to mention I bought her a house, 40,500 square feet on 1 acre on a river in Hawaii, paid it off and gave it to her. Yeah, so that's where all the money from this company went to. It's with my kids, like once I sell these, like I don't care about the money anymore. I have enough money, you know, that I don't really have to worry about money. And so now I just do things that like I feel like make an impact. That's why I work at Service Titan. If Service Titan didn't exist, there's all these roll-ups and these investments in our industry would never be there. All the businesses used to sell for 3 to 4 times profit. Now the big ones are selling for, Tommy Mello sold for 20 times profit. Gettle sold for 21.2 times profit. That never happened in the past. And so when I am making an impact at Service Titan, I told the founders, I said, I'll only work for the founders. I won't work for somebody else there. And they said, fine. And so I said, okay, I'll do it. As long as I can keep owning my businesses, they said, fine. But if I make it a change at Service Titan that helps people, it'll help 14,000 contractors. Plus each of them has an average of like 30 employees. So whatever 14,000 times 30 is, that's a lot of people. My lowest paid helper at Lee's last year made $120,000. And it's in Fresno, where you can buy a new house for 500 grand. So it's like, that's a big deal. It makes an impact. And without Service Titan, we couldn't have done it. I just don't recommend getting on Service Titan until you have like at least, you have to have at least 4 or 5 technicians in the field. So if you're like 5, 6, 7, 8 technicians, it's probably time to start moving over. You need to change the entire way your business works. But there's a company called United in Northern California that did $900,000 a month in revenue. And they're just like you guys, they all speak Russian. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Yeah, so they were doing $900,000 a month in revenue. And they implemented Service Titan. And they're having to do everything remotely. And they went from $900,000 a month in revenue to last week they did $440,000 a week. And it's only been 30 days. It's hard though. Like, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that, but Kathryn told me, but I don't, whatever. I didn't sign any NDAs because they have estimate templates that make it easier to sell. And so you can sell a lot more, and all their sales are done remotely.
Are we expecting a lower price of Service Titan, more affordable for constructors like our company?
Promoted from over 2025.
Yeah. The price is only going to go up next year. It'll be more expensive. Yeah, and the year after that it'll be more expensive. I don't know.
You don't want to kind of acquire as much clients as possible. You're kind of not interested.
It wouldn't be profitable for us. The cost of Service Titan is actually much higher than you think. So it gets to the point where we don't get a payback on that client if we lower the price. And so it's going to get more expensive. We know the value of it. So it's like, we have to do that. And you can see what the profit of the company is. It's public. It's lower percentage-wise than what you guys make in your businesses at the current prices. So it's, what? Yeah, it's a few percent.
Because they're interested to pay lower taxes as well.
Well, no. Like for us, it's not about the taxes. It'll take us a while to get to the point where we're at 10% net profit or 15% or 20%. Take a very long time to get there. When you're in a software company, right now our budget for just new development, research and development, for new builds in the software is $280 million a year. That's what we spend on development. Yeah. So it's like, the cost is very high. And the reality is we won't sell to anyone that has like less than 4 technicians. We just can't do it because it's just not profitable for them. They're not going to be successful on it. We're not going to be successful. So as you get bigger, it makes sense to switch over. But if you're smaller, just stay on House Call Pro. It's a great product for the 2 and 3 tech shops. It works. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you get bigger and you want to be a, large company, you gotta move over. Yes, I have to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.